Hello everyone, welcome on back. It's Betting Weekly Game Bet Match number one tennis betting podcast and YouTube show brought to you in association with Bet Rivers, your hometown sportsbook. I'm Nigel Seeley. As you see, I'm back in London. Our senior ATP core handicapper is Sean Calvert. He's still in New York, heading back this evening from the tennis. Good morning to you, sir. How are you?
Morning. Yeah, I'm all right, I think, all things considered. Nice and early, but yeah, all right. It's another beautiful day here in New York. Not that I'm going to see, well, I'm going to see a lot of it actually because I'm not flying back until about 8:30 tonight. So I've got a whole one of those annoying days where you've just got a whole day just to sit around waiting for a flight, which isn't ideal. But there we are. Can't complain.
What have you got planned for today? What are you going to do?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Well, what can I do? I've got I get I did arrange a slightly later checkout from this place, so I'm out of here at like 1 p.m. But I'm flying at 8, so I've obviously got bags and stuff. I mean, there's not a great deal I can do really. I'll just go to the lounge and stuff, sit around there and whatever.
I had the same checkout yesterday. I went and had a nice bit of seafood lunch along the Hudson, watching the Brooklyn Bridge boat game in the seaport. It was beautiful.
I'm guessing
Then
you can keep your bags in the hotel though, right?
I'm going to get one back. Just put it with me.
You really? You're traveling light, aren't you?
I don't. I'm one bag. I don't check anything. One bag through.
I've only got one bag, but it's cumbersome. I don't want to be trailing that around New York.
It was a bit hot, I suppose, pulling it around, but I did pull it around. I did. I did. I could have left it in the hotel if I had the option. But I went for a nice bit of lunch, walked along the Brooklyn Bridge, went back, got it. But the traffic was horrendous yesterday. So you'll be getting the train, though, wouldn't you?
I might try the train on the way back because I've got loads of time, so I might do that rather than just get a taxi. I've got so much time, I might as well try it.
It was pretty bad, and if you've seen the video of the Uber driver, was sensational driving down the hard shoulder. I've never.
What was
it? Was crazy wild driver yesterday.
Where were you on a van or something?
He was going crazy. I don't know what he was. He was just a lunatic. But I was absolutely shattered now. So I've come in, fallen asleep, but straight up to the job. Talk tennis with yourself. Look at the best bets.
Very well. He must be exhausted.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of accustomed. It hits me about 2 days down the line, then it really hits me. So, but I've got 4 days, and we've got a beach holiday after the US Open to have a week. There's no tennis, obviously, here on the channel, so we've got a week off and a week in Crete, which is much needed after the last few days. We've got one match only to talk about for tomorrow, so it's a good match. It's a very, very good match. Before we go on to that tournament, you were there yesterday. Anything else? Anybody you thought looked impressive? Any news? Any gossip from the courtside?
Not Zverev, that's for sure. He certainly wasn't impressive. Yeah, I didn't have a very fun day yesterday. I have to say, I was sitting there with about 99% of the crowd cheering on Taylor Fritz, and I'm sat there hoping Zverev's going to win, and he put in a dreadful performance, which I think he said afterwards he hadn't hit his backhand that badly since he was about 3 years old. But I don't know whether that. Honestly, I don't know whether it was that. I just think he bottled it. To be honest, he just goes into this mode where he just plays safe. He's just waiting for the other guy to miss, and that's not when he's at his best. He's not utilizing the game that he does have. And he might have blamed the backhand, but honestly, he didn't do anything in that match other than he served okay, but other than pushing the ball around, he wasn't really doing much for most of it. So that was disappointing. And then that was my tournament done as far as outright bets and stuff is concerned. Then I came back here and sampled the delights of one of the local hostelries with a couple of Magners. That was my day yesterday.
I went in that bar you were in. I went in that bar during the day the other week. That one in Queens you went to. It's called Sean something, isn't it?
I wasn't in that one. I was in.
No, you were in a corner one. I know exactly where you were. It was right on the corner. It's an Irish one, a bit further up.
They're both on the corner. Yeah, Donovan's, I think it was.
That's where it was in there. It was in there. I recognised the. You know how I know how I knew you were in the bar because it had Stella, and I recognised
it. It did have Stella, yeah.
Yes,
I did know
yes, it was in there. So that's how I recognised I was in that bar. They probably didn't have much of it left after I come out of the bar, but there was certainly Stella on the tap at some stage.
I didn't ask, to be honest, so I don't know.
But, there wasn't much left, I can assure you, when we finished in there. Let's move on to this match. Obviously, tomorrow it's a big match. It's a huge match for American tennis bettors. And since I think it's 2006, the last time American player got to the final of the US Open with Andy Roddick. And now we know we've got an American finalist, which is great for tennis betting in America. It's great for American tennis itself. It's been on the up recently, and these two players have got very, very different personalities. But it's going to be a blockbuster match on Ash tomorrow. It sees Taylor Fritz up against Francis Tiafoe. Taylor Fritz is minus 245 with Bet Rivers to win this match. Francis Tiafoe is 2-1, the underdog. The spread is 4.5. Even money Fritz. Tiafoe receiving the start minus 124, and the total is high. It's 39.5, as you would expect. If we look at how they've got to this far, Fritz has been extremely impressive, and arguably played some of the best tennis of his career here. He's beat Berrettini in straight sets. He beat Casper Ruud, and obviously beat an out of sorts Zverev yesterday. Tiafoe has been quite lucky. Two of his opponents have pulled out injured, including Dimitrov. He comes through an epic battle against Ben Shelton, and then he was at the match where we was at the other night with ourselves and the guys from Bet Rivers, where he beat Alexei Popyrin. So if you look at it coming into the tournament, you would say that Tiafoe was in the better form. Got to the final of Cincinnati. Fritz got beat in the first round of that tournament as well. So it looks as though Tiafoe's got a chance, but then when we look at the head-to-head, it's one-way traffic. The first time they met was back in 2016, and that was the only time that Tiafoe had won. And since then, it's been 6 wins out of 6 for Fritz, and pretty easy wins as well, with the most recent match in Acapulco in 2023, which he won 6-3, 6-4 in the quarterfinals. Where is Tiafoe got a chance here, Sean, and has he got a chance?
It's a difficult one for Tiafoe for me. I think that where Tiafoe's got a chance is if Fritz gets nervous and anxious, because, as you said, the last American finalist there, Andy Roddick in 2006, last champion also Roddick in 2003. So it's best part of 20 years since America's had a finalist here. So I think the nerves is going to be a factor here. I'll come on to that more in a bit, but Tiafoe's already said this is the biggest match of our lives, and it is, isn't it? It's not an overstatement. Fritz desperate to get past that quarterfinal stage, did it yesterday. Now he's in the semis. I mean, minus 245. It's not a great price, but he does look a good favourite on the head-to-head. I mean, he's just generally too solid for Tiafoe. Tiafoe's a player that does rely on the energy, ups and downs, a lot of fluctuations. 1 minute he's hitting winners all over the place. The next minute he's gone off the boil. Fritz doesn't have that. Fritz is kind of the same from ball one to the last ball. You know what you're going to get with Taylor Fritz. Very rarely does he deviate from what he does well. He was excellent against Zverev yesterday. He definitely deserved to win, but he was the one trying to make things happen, pushing on the forehands, hitting big. The intent was there with him. There was no intent from Zverev yesterday, really. But if you look at the head-to-head, as you said, it's kind of dominant in terms of win-loss in favour of Taylor Fritz, and also in the service points won and return points won total. So he's not winning these matches by fortune or just edging them. The service points won and return points won totals: Fritz 105, Tiafoe 95. So it's a big old gap. That's across all the matches that they've played against each other. Fritz winning 5% more service points, 5% more return points, and vitally, he's winning 10% more second serve points as well. So looking at the head-to-head, it doesn't really look like there's an area where Tiafoe's going to hurt him. It's a matchup that does strongly favour the solidity of Fritz. The power is kind of the same. They're both pretty powerful. I'd say Fritz with the slightly better serve. But he just makes fewer mistakes, which is kind of what you want at this level in the semi-finals of a Grand Slam. Look at what they've done, each of them. This US Open, again, favours Fritz in terms of stats. I know he's had a couple of easy matches, but in terms of service points won and return points won totals, Fritz 114 this US Open in the 5 matches he's played. Tiafoe 108. So again, a decent size advantage for Fritz. Fritz has held serve 94% of the time so far this US Open. Tiafoe 89%. So all the numbers point to Taylor Fritz. There's nothing in the stats that would make me think that Tiafoe's a good underdog. I just think the only chance for Tiafoe, really, unless Fritz just has a bad day where just nothing goes right, which is possible, but not that likely. It just relies on Fritz maybe just getting nervous. I mean, he's coming into this match thinking, I've got past the quarterfinals. Now in the semi-finals, I'm not playing a Djokovic or a Zverev or an Alcaraz or whoever. I'm playing Tiafoe. I've beaten so many times. So he might get a little bit nervous, thinking, getting ahead of himself. I think that's maybe the only area that I can see that Tiafoe will possibly benefit from. But obviously, Tiafoe's going to be nervy as well. I think there's an interesting prop with Bet Rivers here, which is the double faults line. If you remember, I talked about this earlier on in the tournament. I said there was a crazy amount of double faults being hit this tournament, and it wasn't just a one-off over the first few days. It carried on throughout the tournament. It averages 0.35 double faults per game this US Open against the tour average of 0.25. So it's way more double faults. It's carried on throughout the whole tournament. Daniil Medvedev talked about it. He wasn't too specific, but he just said it's probably to do with the balls that they're using. I'm not sure how or what exactly specifically what he means by that, but a lot of players are complaining about these balls, as they always do. But whatever the reason, there's so many double faults. If we look at what Tiafoe's done in that regard, this US Open, he's gone. The line is 8.5 double faults, over under 8.5 total double faults for the match. Tiafoe's gone over 8.5 in every one of his matches. Not him personally, but the total has gone over 8.5 in every match that he's played, apart from the one against Shevchenko, where Shevchenko retired after a couple of sets. We can kind of discount that. So Tiafoe matches all gone over 8.5. Fritz matches, 3 of his 5 have gone over 8.5, and the 2 that didn't were straight sets wins, easy win against Comasana, and straight sets against Berrettini. Went over 8.5 yesterday with Zverev. So very strong. 8.5 seems pretty low. That to me looks like a line that's been set based on previous averages. This US Open's been way more, and the nerves. There's going to be some double faults here, you would think. There were 3 in a row last night in the Tiafoe match against Dimitrov. Dimitrov was 6-3 up in the second set tiebreak, double faulted twice in a row. And then Tiafoe served, and he double faulted as well to hand the set over. So you can sort of see there's going to be some nerves here, some double faults likely. So that's one prop that really does interest me.
I really like that. I'm looking at some stats here between the two of them. Right, this is the stats. I've got the head-to-head record here. I was just looking at what he's doing. The last time they played in Acapulco, there was 6-3, 6-4. So there was 19 total games, and there was 4 double faults, and all from Tiafoe. Then 7-6, 7-6 in Tokyo in 2022. There was 4 double faults, all from Tiafoe, none from Taylor Fritz. And then in the 1000 Canada, in the round of 32 in 2022, it was a 3-set match, and there was 10 double faults in that match.
There you go. I mean, that's a standard tour match, is where it averages 0.25. This tournament's averaged way more. So I just think that line is
got one more here. The only time they've met in a major was at the Australian Open, and it was 6-4, 6-3, 7-6 with straight sets wins. So there was 13, 23, 32 total games, and there was 9 that went over 9. This time around, the total games are pitched at 39.5. So it's gonna it should be in for more than 32.5 games. And on the stats between the two of them, that even makes that case of the 8.5 even better.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like a low line to me. I mean, that might move that line, but 8.5 over 8.5 double faults. It looks the best bet in this match. I mean, I think Fritz is going to win it. Minus 1.5 sets is 1.82 for Bet Rivers, minus 122. I feel like that's probably the way to go if you feel like backing a player to win this match. I can't make a statistical case for Tiafoe. Not on the numbers, not on the matchup. He's just going to have an unbelievable 10 out of 10 day, Tiafoe, and Fritz is going to have to come in at like 6 out of 10 or something, which is possible. It's a major semi-final. One of them might not turn up because of the enormity of the situation as they see it. But I can't make a real case for Tiafoe other than that. I think Fritz will win it, and I think the double faults line is probably the way to go if you want to have a bet on this match.
Yeah, there are 64 different bets and markets available with Bet Rivers at the moment on the website or the app. Head across to the app. You'll see some specials as well for the match, which is going to be a hugely bet match. I'm sure in the in-play betting will be fantastic here. On a Tiafoe factor, though, I mean, I suppose the biggest thing he's got from is his personality. The New York crowd love him. If he can get that energy going, and Fritz can feel a little bit intimidated by the crowd injury, because I think he's going to be I mean, they've got very different
Well, they're both
personalities. But I think
American. I
Tiafoe,
mean,
yeah, but I think Tiafoe will be. I think he'd be more popular in the
I
crowd.
think so.
I think if you can get that going, I think yeah, that's what he needs. He needs a fast start, get into a lead, and really get that crowd pumped.
He does need all those things that you just mentioned. Yeah, I'm not an expert as far as American crowds, who favors who or whatever. I mean, it's just great for them, isn't it? That it's two Americans facing off against each other. That's great. I don't know who's going to be more favorite. You might be right. Might be Tiafoe. Might get the more support, but yeah, he does need something like that to happen. Something that's not based on a pure tennis matchup. Something a little bit out of the ordinary like that. Something extra. He needs that. He needs energy anyway. Tiafoe without energy is half the player. He needs to be pumped for this. He needs to get the crowd up, as you said. But there'll be a lot of support for Taylor Fritz as well. It'll be, it's a great occasion.
Yeah, massive occasion, and you'll be able to follow it all on Bet Rivers tomorrow. But the order of play isn't out yet, so we do not know what time it starts. But I'm sure it'll probably be an evening's match under the lights in Ash. But it'll be a great experience, whatever happens there. Unfortunately, it's the only one match we can talk about at the moment. It's nice to come on and see Sean before he heads off. So there's really not really much of a betting angle we can go on apart from this prop on the double faults, which does look really good bet. That the stats of the tournament and also the head-to-head stats between the two players. Sean, just one other thing. Who's going to be in the final? So we're going to have Fritz to be in the final. Who do you think will meet him in the final on Sunday?
Good question. Obviously, we don't know the outcome of Sinner against Medvedev yet. I mean, you would fancy the winner of that to make the final, surely, against the winner of Draper and Diminor. It's going to be Sinner or Medvedev, isn't it? I mean, one of them two. that's all I can tell you.
I'm going to go Medvedev. I think Medvedev will get to the final. I think Medvedev, and I'm going to go. Listen, I'm going to give old Tiafoe a chance here. I think his name's been on the trophy. I think I've been saying all week, but I've seen him play twice. The atmosphere in his matches have been great. He's pumped. He gets that crowd behind him, and I think if he can get off to a fast start, he will cause Fritz some problems here. But without a doubt, I think it'll be a long match, and that means them double faults. So the first thing I'm going to do is put this phone down here now, on this conversation down to you, and I'll be on to the books to get on that double fault specs. I think that's an absolute great bet as well. So that's been it for today. We will be back for the final, so we'll preview the final. That'll be our last show of the US Open, and we won't be around for a week because there is no tennis action. So we've got a week off, which we do need to recuperate after our stint over in New York. So that's it for the week. Just one more show previewing the men's final. Who will it be? Will we have an American winner? We'll know over the next few days. Sean, have a very, very safe flight home.
Thank you.
Take care. Enjoy your final day. Enjoy the sunshine. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, Betting Weekly Studios. Make sure you download the podcast, Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, and follow us on our socials at Because We Win for more content over in America for the last few hours. And then we'll be back for the podcast previewing the final of the 2024 US Open Championship a little later on this week. Take care.